So another thing I was thinking about along the lines of the Starfleet Academy show, my dad and I used to watch Star Trek: The Next Generation. Mom was there too. She used to watch. She enjoyed it too. Just goes to show this whole thing about how they need to appeal to women. Well, women watch the show too. But Star Trek is science fiction, and something my dad has often said because he still reads books every now and then. He often tells me that the problem with a lot of science fiction now is they got the fiction part. They add some fantasy elements even, but the science part is completely lacking. So when we watch Star Trek, they try to explain how things work, like replicators, like the warp drive, like phasers, tricorders, and everything. And whenever they would reach a different planet or some weird phenomenon, whatever it was, there was always some kind of scientific explanation for what was going on. They had some way to science it out, right? And they didn't just say science. They had all these other details, and they pulled it all from a database. Whether it was an encyclopedia, whether it was some science book, whatever it was, that's where they got the information. So it was based in reality. The problem with new Trek, new science fiction, a lot of it now, is the writers write something out and they solve it through magic. They do a magic wand, they magic it away. It's a little bit like a lot of anime, right? A lot of anime where they'll create a situation where some characters are fighting, and how does the good guy win? He has the stronger Kamehameha blast or whatever it is. This is all the shonen is. Some character has the stronger ability, right? Or they pull it out, and they did it by power of friendship, or they did it by power of belief. We have the stronger belief system, or we just believed harder than the bad guy did, something like that. So that's very, very effeminate writing, very effeminate writing, because guys, we like to work things out, technologically, scientifically, whatever it was. And nowadays, nobody does that in science fiction. It's all based in what was once science fiction. But an example of this new Starfleet episode was the computer won't respond to them, right? Because the computer doesn't realize that all the crew are dead, right? So they have to find some way of getting the ship's crew to respond to them, right? So what happens is somebody writes like a comic book or an illustration. It's a comic book because we need to appeal to the comic book readers. The comics, we were saved by comics, guys! Yay! I love this show. No, they created a comic book for the computer to look at and to realize, the crew is actually still, or the crew is actually dead. They're not alive anymore. So that was basically their way of not understanding how technology works and magicking things away. So the writing serviced the pandering fan service to people who probably like comic books and who also like Star Trek, but they didn't work it into the science part of the fiction. So that was the problem with that. They do this a lot in writing now, where how do we get the ship to move from point A to point B? You can do the Event Horizon stuff, you can do the warp drive stuff, but there's a lot of science fiction out there now where they just create some kind of magic thing that happens. They don't really explain it. And it's very feminine, women are writing it when they do this, because women don't really care about this kind of stuff. Only men do. Not exclusively, of course, but we're doing the whole per capita, the majority thing, always. So that's the problem with all that. So so they've taken the science out of science fiction. Now here's the other angle to this, because I was talking about AI in the last video. This would be so easy to do if you listen to John Del Rose talking with Vox Day about their writing science fiction. If you use AI to help you augment your writing, it is so easy to do this. Even if you're a woman, you don't really care about this. If you have some kind of technology, whatever it is, that you want to move your ship all the way across the galaxy somehow, how do you do that? Based on what we know. Based on what science we know. You don't just say, oh, he scienced it. Oh, yeah, science, guys. He did math. No. You would go to your AI. You would ask the database saying, hey, I need some way of getting my ship to move at really great distances. How would this be possible? And the AI will generate some possibilities based on what we know about travel, right? And whether or not it's accurate, you could verify that. You can ask AI. It's as simple as asking the AI to verify where they got this information, and the AI will try to verify it for you. And you go to the source. And see what I just did there, guys. I just did the writer's job for them. It took me 5 minutes. Well, I had a big 2 minutes. It took me 2 minutes to do this writing thing that these writers for Star Trek have no idea about or not doing. Like, you have millions of dollars going into this thing, and it's as simple as Star Trek fans just doing their own research into what we know about science, about technology, and just coming up with a scenario where this is how it would be done. And verifying, okay, this is how we have a plot going. The plot going from A, B to C, whatever it is, rising action, falling action, whatever it is, because you need a plot going. But to service that plot, if you're going to ignore the science part of the science fiction, you're not creating Star Trek. You're creating a fantasy project with all of the Star Trek aesthetics. So, and that's how we know this is written by women. But anyway, all my thoughts there.